Hi, this is Amanda May. Welcome back to my Flosstube channel. Let's go talk about cross-stitch. I got all ready for this tropical beach episode just in time for the Maryland weather to start pouring. So here we go. Let's go inside and talk about some cross-stitch. Hi friends, it's Amanda May with Ardith Design. I'm here first day of August during some Maryland thunderstorms to talk to you about fun at the beach. I just love the beach. I am so fortunate to have grown up in California and right near the Pacific Ocean in the Bay Area. Well, I love lighthouses, the beach, playing in the sand, not necessarily, removing the sand afterwards, finding fun shells, doing some beach combing, and I just wanted to share a little bit of my passion for beaches and lighthouses today. So let's get started. I wanted to show, first of all, my Save the Stitches, some of the really cool cross-stitch stuff and art stuff that I have found with the beach and lighthouse theme. I'd like to do my sustainability station, and then I want to show some patterns, well, some haul really, stuff that I picked up that I am so excited about, and we'll just see how this goes. Hopefully the thunder and the sound of the rain beating down on my home isn't too distracting. All right, so let's get started. This is one of the first lighthouse pieces that I ever got. I'm so excited by it. And it's on Aida, professionally framed, and I just think it is so lovely. There's a set of, it has a set of 3, but I'm just sharing the one for today. And then this gem I am so excited about. I found this one about 4 years ago, and it was one of the first Maryland East Coast themed pieces that I had found, and it's by Sue Hillis, and I believe it's from 1979. When I went to the Stitching Post in Catonsville, Maryland, they had this piece on the wall, model stitched, and they had a really interesting mat that went right up along the edge of the piece. And I really wanted to photograph it, and I asked if I can take a picture of the model stitches, the models, and unfortunately they have a no photograph policy. So I don't have a comparison photo to show you, but I just thought it was so neat. The one really cool thing about Maryland is that it really does have everything. We have the Chesapeake Bay, Chesapeake Bay watershed, I should say. We've got all the way over here in western Maryland, as the picture shows, kind of the sewing area, because up here Pennsylvania, West Virginia. We've got DC here, Baltimore, and just kind of some of the industry and things. And of course the crab! Maryland crab. Quintessential Maryland crab. Now, I'm not sure who stitched this. This is how I found the piece. But given the matting, it's a double mat, I assume that it was probably in the mid-80s, early 90s. So I like it, so that's all that matters. And the coolest thing ever, I could not believe it. I found the chart, and it looks like a working copy of a chart. I found it within another cross-stitch magazine, and I truly don't know if the magazines got donated to one thrift shop and then this piece got donated at another thrift shop at a different time and they wound up together, or if someone else had just stitched the piece. Either way, I have both now, the pattern and the finished piece. Okay, moving on, I'd love to do my sustainability station. And this week I wanted to discuss fun with books and newspaper. Now, many people say, Amanda, do not touch or go near good books. Don't use them in your crafts. And what I mean by that is playing with books. The age of upcycling, deconstructing, and reimagining the book. Now, let me tell you, this text is chock-a-block full of amazing projects to do with books. And they preface it, and I will preface this by saying I would never, ever, ever touch a good working book. One with the spine intact and good clear pictures. We're talking about the books at the library that they're even so old at the library that they don't even put them in the book sale. They put them in the bin for the landfill or for recycling. I hate to say for the landfill, but unfortunately, depending on the municipality or local government, a lot of these books do just end up in the landfill. They do not get recycled. So thinking about that, there's some really amazing ways to reuse and repurpose books. This book talks about executing sculpture, where you're actually physically cutting out the book and making like a 3D sculpture out of it, and then flat art. And my idea, because I don't have any books right now that I want to mess with, and I have not found any, I thought I'd use one of the free papers. I'm not sure, a lot of people get free papers if you junk mail, and these are wound for the recycling. I am going to use this in a project with, drum roll, the Pioneer Woman adhesive laminate for kitchens in the red pattern. I have a plan. I have a kitchen plan, a dining room plan, but the plan ultimately is to use this paper, ideas from this book to create my finish for a pattern that I'm working on. This is a very simple word art pattern. I stitched it on 32 count Twilight Blue. I got it from the Stitching Post. And the color is Seafoam, and it's Fancy Floss. It says Gather. Now, the plan is, this is my pattern, by the way. It's going to be attached so it can go over, up above, where you walk through the room from into the dining room. And it's going to be, I'm going to utilize this and newspaper for my finishing. So stay tuned for my next video where I definitely show the finish of this. All right, speaking of other things that I have finished that I would like to share with you are my little atomic carrot. I drew this up thinking of the artist trading cards that are going around. I was heavily inspired by Instagram and the group that are sharing all of these exchanges. And let me just tell you, I love, 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 love all the different types of carrots that are out there. There's atomic red, the orange, the yellow, the purple, and then, you know, oh, I get so excited just thinking about it. Okay, I planted a lot of heirloom carrots last year, and unfortunately the groundhogs and the bunnies love them so much. So while I was discouraged about not having my carrots come to fruition, I did want to draw up and stitch this. So I stitched it on Aida, but it would look wonderful on linen or in a higher count fabric, maybe a fiddler's cloth. And I did it in kind of the mid-century theme. There's orange and purple carrots. So this is my love for heirloom atomic. I finished it with just a single back stitching, and then I did the frayed edges. Then I attached it to a Ray Dunn ceramic art piece. Are you ready to see what the back looks like? Has nothing to do with gardens, nothing to do with my work, but look at these little cuties! Ah! Okay, y'all have got me into Ray Dunn. All y'all, okay? I saw this and thought, what a great idea for finishing, because it's like the block idea, but it's the ceramic. Okay. All right. This goes back to my spring theme, so I'm departing a little bit from the beach wave, island breeze idea. This is one of my little majestic chicks. She's standing wearing her witch hat amongst all of the Easter eggs and the blooming daffodil. I finished this using a little piece of rickrack and Vanna's tutorial. Unfortunately, I got a little overeager with my clamps and it did imprint. We're not perfect, but we try. So I'm probably gonna get a dollar store flowers or something and do something attached. But finishing aside, this is my little cutie for Easter and springtime. Okay. And I wanted to share with you a couple patterns that I drafted last year. They were my very first patterns ever. And I shared them on the Stitchery Express buy and sell trade Facebook group last year. Hi, sorry about that. It got so loud all of a sudden. So I'm drinking out of my Starbucks mug, which, fun story about this, I went treasure hunting with Cindy a couple years ago, and it was during the anniversary edition of the Mermaid Cup, and I just thought this would be such a perfect episode to show you my Mermaid Cup. With that in mind, I want to show a pattern that I drafted last year because I absolutely love the beach. And here it is, my very first pattern with my logo. Before I updated my logo, it's got plumeria flowers on it, but this is my first ever pattern release. It's got an Adirondack chair, and it's got pink plumeria flowers, and of course, sitting in the shade. There are no optional beverages there, but you know, this little snowman, he's built, of course, out of sand in the summer and wearing a hat. I was thinking of Mian Bialik. She played Blossom in the TV show. She's now on The Big Bang Theory. She's fantastic. But I was thinking of her with the little hat when I drafted it, and of course, stylized starfish. They're not alive, they're, you know, stylized. So this is one of the pattern, this is my very first pattern that I drafted early last year. And I charted it in all different blues, the sky blues and stuff, but now, a year into designing, I really think that this pattern would just look precious just with the sand sculpture snowman, the plumeria, the Adirondack, of course the sand on the bottom, and then this top piece on actual blue linen, blue Aida, or that gorgeous opalescent fabric. Oh, I just think that would look so lovely. So you don't have to do all of that blue stitching. These are all full crosses. I don't have any back stitching in this pattern and no specialty stitches, but I just thought it was so cute. All right, and the next pattern that I drafted shortly after Beach Island Snowman was my banana pattern. And I love food, I love puns, I love punny food. So here we go. This is my Let's Cuddle pattern. And this is stitched, I charted it on a white background, but whatever you prefer. I do have it, it's all full crosses, no back stitching. So everything is lined with 310 DMC, so it's black all the way around. So you could do any color in the back for your fabric. All right, and then in honor of the Real Housewives of Cross-Stitch, Priscilla and Chelsea, I started looking for Rusty and Crusty for using as my display for my finishes. And then one night, an idea struck me. As many artists and creatives, the idea didn't strike at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It struck at 2 in the morning. So I had this idea that why don't I make a Rusty and Crusty farm sign in honor of Priscilla and Chelsea. So I did. Rusty Crusty Farm. This is stitched on 32 count summer khaki that I got from the Stitching Post in Catonsville, Maryland. This is stitched with a variegated DMC, and in honor of Priscilla, I stitched it with Hickory Sticks. So we've got the Rusty Crusty Farm. I'm also charting it where it's going to have established, and then I'm going to have all the different numbers, 0 to 9. So if you want to stitch this, you can do the EST and then the year below for either your home or when you started stitching, when you started watching Flosstube. Just an idea of, you know, what gets you in the rusty, crusty state of mind. And I found this tin with a home on it, Rusty Crusty Home. And I am going to attach this and have this as one of my display pieces. I'm really excited about it. And I want to give another shout out to Teresa Kitten Stitcher with Shakespeare's Peddler for her fantastic video on lining up your threads and using the pins to mount your piece. Like I said in my last video, I've been doing so much stitching, but I got really, really nervous about how to finish. I have done a lot of sewing, quilting, but I haven't done really any framing or accessorizing home accessories. I've done a lot of actual painting, like canvases and stuff. So not really being familiar with framing and thinking more of, I don't know, I got too nervous. So I shout out to Vanna and Teresa again for your finishing and for inspiring me. And I'm excited to get better, and I'm hoping that you'll follow along with me and hopefully see me get better. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry too about this lighting. Again, we've got a thunderstorm going on, so it's not bright and sunny. It's kind of dull and dreary for August. But what are you gonna do? You're gonna put on your fun hat and your beads. Fun story about this hat. I made it I used to do props, theater props for college, high school, volunteer-based stuff. And I used to do window displays. Did for a store, I did window displays. Anyway, I made this and I thought it was so much fun, and when I was bartending, I hosted a tiki bar at my job, and I wore this to work. So I was really happy. It's a modified fascinator. I love it. Next episode, I'm gonna show you guys my harvest stuff that I have planned, and I'll show you one of the hats that I made inspired by the showgirl hats. It's really exciting. That's what I wore to Halloween last year. So I'm hoping to show that in my next video. All right, I want to show you some of the haul that I have. Now, I love lighthouses, and I was excited to find these. They are kits, and they all came with the corresponding Ada. I'm not quite sure right now if I'd like to change out the Ada and do either a linen or an even weave, or practice learning how to dye fabric. I bought so much RIT dye, and I'd love to learn how to dye fabric. So maybe I'll dye the Ada and see what happens. Anywho, this Outer Banks lighthouse, the Cape, is one. Then this one I thought was really cool. This is another Outer Banks, and it's designs by Renee out of Ocean City. I just love this. I love the diamond. I love all the different lighthouses there. And here is another North Carolina lighthouse in the series. And the last one. I'm not terribly familiar with North Carolina. I've only been to North Carolina driving down, going to Georgia. I lived in Savannah for a short period of time, so going from New Jersey, I went to graduate school in Rutgers, so going from New Jersey back down to Georgia. And that's the only time I've ever been into North Carolina. One day, maybe I can go to the Outer Banks, but until then, I can stitch them. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I'm just really excited to be here. I'm really excited for everyone that watched my first video, and for all of the kind comments and shout outs, and everyone that reached out to me about my patterns. And I especially want to thank those that were interested in my poppy pattern. I'm hoping to have it drafted and up. I was heavily influenced by Kitten Stitcher with her colonial knots, so I did create my own piece of art, and I did it on the fly. I didn't have a pattern when I started, so now I'm trying to go back and create a pattern, which, thank goodness for software and no sleep. Alrighty, thanks again everyone. I hope that you have a beautiful week with lots of stitching. Please spread kindness and joy. And remember, life's too short to not have fun. Thanks.